All right, you guys, welcome. We are so excited to have an amazing panel. So I'm so excited that you guys could be here. My name is Sydney Seymour. I'm the regional technology trainer for the Carolinas region, and I have the absolute pleasure of working with, I'm going to say, the best agents in the country, as well as the best leadership teams in all of KW in North Carolina and South Carolina. I dropped two things in chat. I will drop them in there again. It is a link to the regional YouTube channel. That is where we will have this recording, as well as any other recordings that we have. So I'll drop that link in there again. And then I will also drop the link for, we have a Carolinas regional Facebook page. And that's where you can find out about trainings like this, trainings in other market centers, get to know other agents in the region. So I will drop all of those in the chat. And we have such an amazing panel today. I'm actually going to just be quiet and stop talking and do the wonderful thing that I know they'll all like, where I get to spotlight the panelists. So give me 1 second. This is everyone's favorite thing. Kent, I'm just going to spotlight you and leave you there with nobody else. Just kidding. I'm going to add more people. All right. So these are your three incredible panelists that we have today. We've got Ken Temple, Stacey Sauls, and the amazing Jeff Stewart. So I'm going to just have you guys introduce yourself, share your incredible production numbers, and a little bit about your team makeup and where you are.
Well, normally I would say ladies first, but you know what? If we're telling production, I'm gonna go first and just let it build from there. My name is Kent Temple. I am Lake Norman, just north of Charlotte. Been in the business since, got licensed in 2005, went full-time in 2007, started building the team in 2007. Did such a phenomenal job of building the team. In 2009, I got the opportunity to shut it down and start over. And, since then, I've just followed the book as I went through. Last year, we did 105 units for $63 million.
Awesome. Thank you.
I guess that means I go next. We'll let Stacey do the shock and awe at the end. Jeff Stewart, and from Asheville, North Carolina. Been in business for, I think we're in our 14th year. Have stepped out of production on my team, but still involved in the vision and team members, culture, that kind of stuff. Last year, let me see. I just asked somebody. Last year we did 165 units. And volume wise, I think we were right around 80, if I'm not mistaken.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna mute when I'm not talking because I have a really cheap laptop and sometimes it So anyways, I'm Stacey. I'm from Charlotte. Been in the business since 2011. Started building a team 2017. Last year we did, I think, 142 million. And I'm really excited because this year closed and pending, we're at 136 year to date. So I'm excited to blow that out of the water this year. That's pretty much it. Was that the last question? Yes.
Yep, you're good. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. So the topic that we're going to be talking about today is building and rebuilding your team during the Great Resignation, as we're calling it. And I'm going to drop something in chat, but I actually just pulled up some statistics that I just wanted to share with you guys prior to these amazing panelists kind of diving in. But this is across all industries, and I'll drop a link to the article in chat. But I thought it was really interesting. 44% of current employees, so people that currently have a job, 44% are actively looking for another job. So almost half are actively looking for some other career. 56% of those looking for another job say higher pay is the main driver in their search for another job. 41% of workers would leave their current job for a 5% pay increase. So again, almost half would leave to make an additional 5%. And then 20% of workers would take a different job for the same pay, but with other benefits. And the top benefits that we see that people are looking for are health benefits, job security, flexible work arrangements, and retirement accounts. Those were the top ones. And then going back to 2021, 48 million people quit their job in 2021 and either went to some sort of completely different industry, different career. Obviously, a portion of them probably retired as well, but 48 million. So just to have really an understanding of what we're talking about and the impact that this is across all industries. And I think as a lot of you will attest to, especially in our industry as well.
You know, Cindy, that first stat you gave, that 44% of people are looking for a possible new job. Another stat that goes with it, that 100% of those people are thinking about getting into real estate.
It's 100%, right? Yeah. And then I do think it's worth noting, Kent, that I heard something else that wasn't in this, but 70% of the people that maybe last year or the beginning of or end of 2020, rather, 70% of people that went to another job now actually wish that they hadn't done that. So more than usual, we're looking at almost like 3/4 of people that did leave actually maybe realized that perhaps the grass wasn't a bit greener on the other side. So I think we're going to talk a little bit today about retention on your team, retention on your leadership team, and how to make sure that they're feeling appreciated. So we're going to dive right in. We've got a series of questions that we're going to go through, and whoever kind of wants to take it first, we're completely good with that. And then I have the chat up. So if you guys have questions, feel free to unmute, feel free to raise your hand, whatever you're comfortable with, or drop it in chat, and we'll make sure we have plenty of time to get through those as well. So, all right, we're going to dive right in. So we've all seen news reports about the Great Resignation. That's even what we were just talking about with these statistics. So how have these fluctuations in the job market, how has that personally impacted your team, any members of your team? How have you guys seen that in your local market?
Well, for me, it's weird. All of a sudden, I've become the elder statesman. And I know when Stacey was thinking about building a team, and hopefully she'll remember this, she came and she took my classes on team building. So I've watched her go from solo agent up through there. And when Stacey was first taking my class in 2016 and 17, I was telling people I had nobody on my team that was on a salary. True story. There's nobody. Everybody was just, it was like you're a lifeguard at the YMCA. You clock in, clock out. And that's not that long ago when we did it like that. So that's the biggest thing for me, is how we compensate people has completely changed.
Got it.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. There was a reorganization of what's important and the people that we're in business with. So like where you were running a play and things were working really well, and then it's the environmental variables changed in such a way that if you weren't agile enough to get to building relationships and asking the right questions with the people on your team, that value proposition tended to diminish. In my world, I found that it was diminishing because it wasn't as important as things were shifting in their levels of importance.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. We used to hire for production, right? How many deals do you want to do that it can add to our volume? We completely shifted. We hire for culture first. And I absolutely believe that's helped our retention and got us in business with the right people. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing that we've seen is that we're an all-women team. And so now our spouses are the ones that want the job changes, right? They want the lifestyle change. So it's giving them an opportunity to get out of corporate America, maybe do something else that they weren't brave enough to do before all of this. So we have the opportunity to make more money so that they have the opportunity to follow their dreams.
So Stacey, if I can ask a follow-up question, because you said we're hiring more on culture. And I think sometimes that can be difficult to read or to see from the very beginning. So how are you finding people that are fitting that culture?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, some of it is people that we used to be in business with that we brought back. Just to give you an example, we offboarded an agent 2 years ago that was going through a lot of stuff in her life and couldn't hit our standards then. So I don't want to say we lowered our standards, but what we did is we made a space where people felt comfortable not having mom guilt, right? Not having work guilt. And we just said, what's your life by design? And then are we building a company where you can have that? And do we want to lock arms with you? And if so, we brought her back. And really the key part was culture. Everybody loves her. We love to be around her. And it's driving everyone else's performance because happy people are productive.
So I would even add to that, like when COVID hit, there was incredible amounts of insecurity. We know that safety and security are really important to people that you're associating with, when COVID hit, everybody got scared and they ran toward money. So it was like, this job will pay me more. I can do this, I can do that. We lost, I'm also an OP of a couple market centers. We were losing people based off of splits. And because everybody was in a place of scarcity, right? They were scared. But the best thing to come out of that is people went toward that and then realized that relationships and culture were the most important thing. So what we're seeing right now is people that have held that culture and that community within their business are wildly attractive to people that felt isolated and scared during those periods. Now they're coming back and they're saying that's who I want to be in business with. And this is the life by design that I want.
Yeah, people make fun of us that when they talk about, the people that aren't with us, they make fun of our culture.
Yeah.
But you ask anybody that's left, and even if they're not coming back, what's the one thing that you miss about Keller Williams? That's always number one. It's the culture, it's the people. That's what they talk about.
Yeah, and I think if we're looking at the statistics of 20% of workers would take a job with the same pay, but there's different drivers that are important to that. And I think in our world, part of that is culture, like feeling loved and appreciated and part of something bigger really leads to a lot of retention of why agents stay with the market center, agents stay with a specific team, how you can build your team. So it's such a valuable point. For those of you that have amazing talent on your team, which I know all of you do, what are you doing differently? What have you maybe started doing differently in the past 18 to 24 months to keep that top talent? So knowing that people are potentially looking out there for other opportunities, is there anything that you've changed to really help with retention on your team?
Well, if you get the culture right, then you're in business with the right people. That's step number one. And then it goes back to Gary's 3 L's: leads, listings, leverage. If you have that to provide them, there's no reason for them to leave. And actually, we've switched it up a little bit to do listings, leads, leverage, because we know if we bring in the listing count, that will bring in the leads to feed the people. And then our teams provide the leverage. So they've got a safe place to build their own business within your business under Keller Williams, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Communicating that you can build a business inside of a business has given them the autonomy to start to think, not do I like this, do I like the team I'm in or not? Now the conversation is, what kind of business can I build within that team? And then making that an and conversation rather than an or is how you keep high level talent. Talent is scary, right? If you're scared about hiring somebody and you feel like, gosh, I could lose this person, run to them and start to have those conversations and dig deep enough to ask the right questions so you can understand what that looks like. Because you will lose them, because their talent pushes. Sherry Puffer always says, when I'm complaining about somebody that's needling me, she says, well, Jeff, talent pushes. And I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, for me, I feel like, I've done very little right on my first try when it comes to building teams. And that's why people come to listen to me talk. They don't come to listen to me what I did right, what'd you do wrong, so they don't make the same mistakes. The one thing that I feel like that I've done right over time is I've always known, everybody in my life, I know what their big why is. Yep. And so when you ask me, what did I do different when this hit? I didn't do anything different. I just maybe doubled down on what your big why is. Because I just always know that if I'm pushing you towards the reason that you're doing this, if you're making ground on that, you'll never leave. But to do that, you have to know what their big why is. You have to know why they're here. My goal is not for no one to ever leave me, because that's just dumb. Things happen. One of my top agents one time, her husband got transferred out of nowhere. Nothing I can do about it. People are going to leave you. I'll be successful if I'm never surprised when somebody leaves me. If I saw it coming because I was that in touch with them, then I was successful in what I was doing.
So standing out to me is I hear from a lot of you that you're empowering them. I don't feel like anybody on any of your teams ever feels like an employee. It feels like you're empowering them to have their own business, to think bigger, and then you have a really clear understanding of what's important to them.
Yeah, I'll put it like this. There is no one that works for me. There's a lot of people that work with me.
If you include somebody as a partner, like my language is such that regardless of what leadership team I'm with, it's my partner. my business partner, my business partner, my partner. If they're unhappy with where the business is and they are considered a partner, there's accountability in that, right? If they're an employee and they don't like your vision, then they're going to look somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only speak for me and Jeff on this. I'm not speaking for Stacey, just me and Jeff. Me and Jeff are the dumbest people on our team. We have the vision, and people, I think that's what attracts people are attracted to our vision and to okay, first off, you got to be a complete idiot to want to do what we do. To build a team, why would you do that? But we do it because we're the freaks in the room. When you realize that, you're better off. And they become attracted to that vision because they want to be part of something big, but they probably just don't want to build it themselves. So that's the key is you have that vision, you can get some really, really talented people to jump in there.
All right. So we're still in we're in a new dynamic where we have a lot of people that are still working virtually, or you might have admin, you might have cyber backers, you might have director of ops. Like we potentially, and I know every team might be different, but we potentially aren't having that daily huddle face-to-face like maybe we did a few years ago. So how have you built that team culture that includes people that maybe don't regularly see each other face-to-face? What are examples of things that you're doing maybe daily, weekly, monthly to build that culture and make everybody feel one team?
I personally, I think it's better because there's no more excuses. I can't get to the office for the meeting. I'm like, great, grab a Zoom link. So what we did is we took, life gets in the way, right? And you choose the people you're going to be in business with are going to make choices every day about where they spend their time and what's important to them. And when we added Zoom, we said, hey, look, easy. You got to watch the kids, no problem. Can you take 15 minutes and throw a movie on and grab a Zoom link? Of course I can. Now that's that partnership thing. Now you're in partnership with them rather than, am I going to get fired because I couldn't make it to the office? That's part of what Stacey was talking about, is that can I be strong and still be involved with my family, strong leader, and also be involved with my family? We created space for that. And I think you have to let them move into that space. That's my opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. A few years ago, maybe it was 4 years ago, we locked agents out of the office because they were a couple of minutes late to team meeting. What was I doing? I don't know. And so just to give an example of how we failed forward, I mean, that's ridiculous. So now, yeah, we can be on Zoom, and really our team meetings, we run through numbers. If you want help, you show up. If you're at your kid's field day, great. So I think it again goes back to being in business with the right people. If you have the right people, they're going to do what they're supposed to do, regardless of whether team meeting. Most of them are going to show up, but again, taking away mom guilt and all of that has just created a really safe space for us to be able to have everything we want. I don't think that really was the question, but I just wanted to share that.
It was good.
I'm gonna be different than both of them. I hate it. I hate Zoom. I wish right now that we were all in one room together. When we came in, I would have hugged Sydney first because she's the one setting it up, and I would have hug Jeff. I would even hug Chris Gorman and rubbed his head because I see him right there in the corner of my screen right there, because I love people and I love being around them. So I don't like it, but you have to adapt to it. So for us, what we've done, again, and I'm gonna go back to knowing people. Our team meetings are longer on Zoom than they were in person, because now that's when we have to take the time to find out what's going on in your life, and that's how we start all our meetings. We start with what's going on and what's your gratitude first, because we run out of time and if we didn't get to the numbers, I can live with that. If I don't get to what's going on with your life, I can't live with that. So we just had to adjust it that way. And that has to be our personal time. And we're putting more emphasis on the things that we do together, and we're trying to get together when we can. And we're very accepting. I mean, you used to kind of when we had our little team get-togethers, you kind of got shamed if you didn't attend, and we don't do that now, because we understand that people have different reasons for not coming and not being able to participate.
I'm interested to hear, because you mentioned this, Kent. So for the rest of you, when you start your meetings with your teams, when they're virtual, what order do you all do that as well?
We start with weekly wins. And we do have in-person meetings. Of course, some of us are on Zoom, depending if we can make it into the office or not. But that's part of our culture building is, show up and hang out. We also have a Facebook group chat. I don't know if that's the smartest thing. It gets a little wild when people start having wine at night and conversation starts going, but it's fun.
That's good to catch up with the morning. I'm imagining if you were sleeping. So still culture, we're good. How about you, Jeff? How are you? What are you guys chatting about in your meetings?
Yeah, so we always, we do we do a stand up in the morning. So you're going to go through the regular listing side, buyer side conversations, but we usually open it up with gratitudes, like what's going well, and we're checking in with people. The thing that we forget all the time is we talk about building a business, and a business is built brick by brick with people. So if you're not in relationship with your people, you're not going to be able to build a business, or if so, they're going to exit the business or rotate through the business quite frequently. So I'm hippy dippy as hell. Every time I talk, it's about the people. But what I've found is those people have built my businesses. It hasn't been me. I've just been putting some white lines on it. And then I'm surrounding myself with talent that's at or above my own level. And that's what's building successful businesses.
So all of you are mentioning the people, the great talent that you have on your team. I think the Great Resignation we've seen has created, like, you might be finding people that never thought they'd get into real estate. You might be finding people that are getting into or looking for an admin or a director of ops role. How are you finding people for your team? So get as specific as possible. How are you finding them? And has that changed in the last few years of how you're finding them? Or is it the same as you generally were?
I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm trying to shut up here.
Nope. This is all really good stuff. Jeff, go ahead.
So in my world, we're always going to run the same play as far as getting your regular channels out, right? Technology's allowed us to do that more efficiently. And it's a box I want to check. So I'm making sure there's somebody that's following those processes. They're going to see our opportunities. But we're seeing the greatest success with high-level talent is coming through relationships. And it's the people on our team that know somebody on the team. I think it was Gary was talking about, like, everybody knows that barista that goes above and beyond, or that person that's at a business you visit quite frequently that you're like, wow, that person's amazing. And what I have found is through this shift, it's also the high level talent that's, like you were saying, the statistics, they're interested what else is out there. And when they're getting in a relationship with you, they'll say, I've never had these kind of conversations before, because they were in a model that was not evolving. So there's been an excitement around it, an energy around it, where talent is actually coming to engage with you more frequently than I saw before.
Same. It's all about relationships. Our entire ops team started with relationships, and of course had a proven success in past business for ops. And then as far as sales, proven success in business or sales. Our director of sales right now is my sorority sister from years ago. So it starts there. I will say, as far as finding new talent, it's in my inbox a lot. And we're not necessarily looking for new agents. We are looking for that proven track record. So what we're seeing a lot of is messages saying, hey, my current company isn't holding my hand enough. And we're saying, hey, we're not here to hold hands. We're here to lock arms. So if you need hand holding, let us introduce you to our team leader, right? Because training is the first step. So at that point, we want them to get into Keller Williams for training. And honestly, we want people to decide before they ever get on our team if they want to be an individual agent, build their own team, or if they're at that pain threshold where they've got to make a decision, they either start their own team or they join a team that already has leverage in place. So that's what we're looking for when they start to hit that pain and know we've got to hire ourselves and we don't really want to run that type of business. Boom, lock arms with us. Let's go. We've already got leverage.
For me on the agent side, the influx of agents hasn't helped a bit, because the same number are going to be successful long term. You just increase the number that we're going to fail out. And so I think we have to even go deeper as we're looking for agents to find the right matches. Now, I mentioned a minute ago, Michelle's husband, years ago got transferred and Michelle left, and I was freaking out because she was a top producer. And here's what my MAPS coach told me this, our next call, and I said, hey, I've lost this person. and I don't know what to do. He said, you're going to go hire 5 agents today. And I said, well, no, you misunderstood. My whole team didn't leave. I just lost 1 agent. He said, exactly. We lost 1 top agent. Go hire 5 and pray that one of them's good. And it's a shame to say that, but somebody, I couldn't see who it was. Somebody tapped into the chat when we first started that 63% of all agents got the business in 2020 or 2021. So you have to do a good job. Use the resources when you're going after these agents. On the admin side, I have to tell you, when you surround yourself with talent, you don't have to do that anymore. I don't hire admin anymore. I have the talent in my life that handles that part of it. And I might say, hey, I think we need to add here, but they do that part for me. And that's when you've got talent, when they can take stuff like that off your plate.
Ken, I just want to say thank you real quick for you breaking down that first admin hire and what pay structure looks like, because if it weren't for that class, and I cried when I left it, by the way, because I was stressed and like, oh God, I got to do this, but thank you. Because it forced me to do it and realize that I can afford to do that. And I mean, that was
Stacey, I bet when we did the numbers for you to hire your first admin, you had to do 3 or 4 more sales a year.
I did. Yeah. And then I hired her, and then I think I gave her a raise like a week later because she was so amazing. I was like, oh, I'm underpaying you. So thank you. It was just getting over that first.
Same thing with me too, funny enough. Yeah. It was showing me first hire and it set me free.
I want 2 things that I just entered my head that I want to chat about. Jeff, you said technology when you're hiring for people. Do you have, like, are you using Indeed? Are you doing more social stuff, or what does that look like tech wise?
So when I said I'm going to run the like a play I've run before, that's the Indeed and like reaching out on LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. But I think what's changed with that is our like breadth of our conversations and opportunities has scaled at such a level because of access to information on Facebook and the way those algorithms work. So now when my best opportunity is, you're going to find that talent associates with talent, right? So by default, things like social media are a fantastic conduit, because if I can put myself out there to people that are in my sphere that I believe are talented, they're going to have talent in their sphere. And the way Facebook or that kind of stuff works is it pushes through those conduits. So you're actually getting targeted exposure in a lot of cases. And that's where I'm seeing the best results.
Interesting. And then,
Cindy, do you want me to catch that question that just hit in the chat?
Yes. What do you recommend for training admins? Yeah, please.
So for me, when you hire a new person, you have to spend time with them every day for the first 30 days. And that's your chance to show them your models and systems. Now, if you're a great agent, most likely your models and systems suck. Sorry, but they do, because you're a great agent. You're not good at those. So once you spent 30 days showing them all your stuff, then you're going to turn them over to find an agent in your markets, a team in your markets that's got great admin, and say, hey, can they spend a day with you on your models and systems? If they're not in your market center, go to a market center nearby. We're Keller Williams. We'll share with you. So go have them sit with them for a day. Then they'll get their ideas. When they get to the 90-day mark, for me, if I was starting all over, when they got that 90-day mark and I went, yes, they are the one that I'm gonna fight the battle with, I would put them in the Monica Reynolds Perfect Real Estate Assistant course, 16 weeks, one call a week. So that's kind of the progression that I would do if I was starting to build my team right now.
And the right hire is going to want to find that training, because they're going to know that. I mean, I was honest. I said, I'm a hot mess. Our database was cups that had popsicle sticks. So I said, here's the database. Here's all of our leads. And then here's the under contract cup. And then here's where they go when they're closed. You just move the popsicle sticks. And she's like, you gotta be kidding me. And she cleaned it up real quick. And now we have a database. Yay. So I think you got to hire the person that's not scared. I mean, her eyes lit up when I said I'm a hot mess. And I thought, okay, great. She's not running away, and started to take advantage of all the training that Keller Williams offers. So I didn't have to actually do any of that, because clearly I'm not good at any of it.
Yeah, it can't hit it when he said if we're great at that, we would be doing that, right? Lots of successful agents end up owning businesses. That doesn't make us business people, and that doesn't mean we're great at every. So the first thing I do is tap out, and you'll find that talent actually pushes you out of the way. And if you're not feeling that, if you're feeling like if they're from scarcity and they're like, gosh, I need this, I need this, I need this, 30, 60, 90 them and give them an exit at each interval.
Yeah, go read page, just one page, read page 161 in the MRA book, page 161. That's the talent page. And if they check those boxes, then you're good. It's my favorite page.
Stacy's reading it right now.
Stacey's reading it right now. Hey, Stacey, hold your book up. Guys, I look at that tattered book. That is not a book that collects dust. That's her manual right there that she uses on a daily basis. You see how quick she was to pick it up?
You want to know what's cool about this is I also have dates in here. So I would put, 2021, first year to have $1 million cash in the bank and net worth goal. So, I mean, I've got notes and dates and just all sorts of stuff. And then when I hit it, I highlight it. So this book is amazing. If I ever lose it, oh my gosh, it's just all my goals.
They just announced they're coming out with a new one though. You got to get rid of it. Did you hear
Stop
that?
it. No,
That's not true. That is not true.
Yeah.
They have not said they're coming out with a new one yet.
The running joke.
Yeah.
The running joke that Jay told us at Mega Leadership is every time someone asks, we push it back a month. So
Well, see, so the one that Jay told me was, I said, Jay, do you know when it's coming out? He said, yeah. And I said, if I promise not to tell nobody, will you tell me? He said, yeah. I said, when's it coming out? And he said, when Gary's ready. So that hasn't changed yet. Gary ain't no more ready than he was a couple of years ago.
that's
But
right.
Here we are.
hey, don't fix what isn't broken, right?
There you go.
100%. All right. Speaking of the MREA budget model, let's skip a little bit and go into that. If you've had any, how have you responded to pressures to change your benefits or compensation packages while staying in line with the MREA budget model? Whoever wants to take that.
Well, so for me, it was easy, and it's because I learned the hard way ahead of time. If you look at the model and the model says, this is how much you should spend, and you immediately start spending that much, you have no room to grow. So I've always been behind the curve, so I had room to grow. When COVID hit, I freaked out like everybody else. I actually had an open position. I immediately did not fill that open position. And then when we started seeing things that were happening, I was able to use the deficit that I had between what the model says to spend and what I was spending to create opportunities. And now it's going to go deeper now. I mean, yes, now all my people on salary, the next step, and I think KW is going to help us with this, we're going to start offering benefits, because through KW, I truly believe soon that you're going to be able to get health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Through KW, I truly believe soon you're going to be able to do 401ks. And I was doing some of that stuff on my own, and I kind of stopped because the rumor is it's going to come down the pipeline within our own ecosystem, and I don't have to create it. And so that's going to be created for us, and I've got the ability to do that because I know what I'm supposed to be paying. I know where I am, so I've got that buffer in there that I'm planning to use as we go forward. And then, and the good thing is, if I've got talent and I'm using that to grow them, well, guess what? The business grows, and I'm creating that next level to keep being able to raise that standard for them.
And you gotta, like, the key thing that Kent said there is, if you don't have an MREA bookkeeper, if you don't know those percentages and where they are in your P&L, you don't have the information to make those moves and make those decisions. Because I hear people all the time say, I have an accountant. An accountant is for tax purposes. You need somebody that's familiar with MREA and can overlay those percentages, because we're only as good as the information we have. So I stumbled for a long time without that information. And then once it was in front of me, I'm like, oh, okay, I've got a gap there. And I could start to understand my business much better.
And Jeff, if you use, and not everybody's great with the numbers, but if you'll use your bookkeeper accountant, but then say, I need you, here's the MRA chart of accounts.
That's
I need
right.
you to use that. And then every month I need you to print my profit and loss and my balance. And then you can go down and you can just, it's a simple math then, and divide, and you divide and you go, wow, I'm spending 11% on staff. And the book says that's just be spending 14.4%. You can go, wow, there is some money. Now, okay, why not make, now you can go and look, see where you're spending too much money as well. But so you can have that person in your life, but at the end of the day, you got to be the one to pull the sheet and do the numbers and figure out where your business stands.
Yep.
Yeah, you always have to red light, green light it, right? Every day, every week, every month. There was one year we started the year, and I can only say this because they're no longer on our team, but we had somebody that said, hey, here's last year's numbers. Here's what our marketing budget should be. And I was panicking, like, it's January. We don't know that our numbers are gonna be the same. We're at real estate. We're 30 days out from our paychecks. So I realized then that, hey, don't look at last year. Figure out where you want to be this year. Red light, green light it, no matter what. Do not overspend. Stay in model. Do not mess with cost of sales. If you're having conversations about splits, it should be about net. Maybe you're not in business with the right people. What does the net look like? And are you offering enough leverage to support your people?
It's interesting to me because if you look at the teams that are really successful, we got a lot of popcorn talent, right? You'll see people enter the market, they'll get a lot of notoriety, and then it kind of be like, what happened to them? It's typically because they're not in model. And that's not a KW Kool-Aid thing. If we look at the teams that have been in the business for a really long time and maintained profitability, they are following a model. Like, you just need white lines on the road. You can bounce off them, make mistakes, but we need that recipe.
Yeah. Do you guys find that maybe since COVID started, do you find that you're looking at your numbers more frequently, or were you already doing that? As far as
we were already doing that. I'm
Yeah.
kind of weird about that.
No.
I love that part of the business.
No, Cindy, I like to think that the reason that the three of us got invited to do this is not because we have big GCIs. It's because we have net incomes and because we know what our numbers are, and we know that we run a business that makes money.
100%. I have a feeling that if we had done this 5 years ago, it would have been the same thing, right? Changes might have happened in the last few years, but quite frankly, you were running it the way it needs to be run prior to that, because you all went to Ken's class. So that's why.
That's right. We all owe Kent a thank you.
That's right. That's right. What is the most valuable lesson that you've learned from the Great Resignation?
I already said mine, page 161, talent trumps everything. And if you can avoid hiring out of necessity, if you can always be a step ahead, so you're not just having to put a body in a seat, you're going to win. Because if you just keep surrounding yourself with talent, you're fine. And that's the book says one talented person can do more than a busload full of non-talented people. So to me that is the key. By the way, follow the model, take career visioning every year, do the case, you do all that stuff, and you're still going to make bad hires. There is no perfect system. Nobody gets it right every time, but you have a much better chance of getting it right if you'll follow the system, take career visioning every year, do the KPA, listen to what it says, go through all the steps, check the references. If you do all that, you have a better chance of hiring that talented person and keeping them in your life.
Amen.
Right. I would say people over profits. That's what I've learned over the last couple of years. Putting the people first, what they need in their lives. I mean, gosh, anybody on my team will tell you that I'm not the same person. They keep looking at me. They're like, who are you? Like, I don't know, but I like who I am and I like where we're going. And just thank you to everyone that teaches and trains in Keller Williams and this book. That's it. I'm just grateful because we are constantly evolving in this company.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
100%. All right. Those are all the questions that I have. So now I want to open it up. If you guys are on here, if you have a question, I assure you that 10 other people have the same question. So you've got an amazing group of talented people here that are ready to chat with you. So I'm checking chat over here, but you guys feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand if you have any specific questions or anything that you want to dive deeper into that they discussed.
So Sydney, while they're thinking about that, a couple months ago, I did a session with a group of lenders. So they're non-KW people. And I did this 30-minute session with them. We got through and we got to this point. Does anybody have any questions? And there was complete silence. Nobody says a word. And finally somebody says, I have a question. And I said, yeah, what is it? He goes, does your shirt say anything else besides no one succeeds? That's when I realized I was not sitting up quite high enough in my chair. But anytime I do anything on team building or what we're doing today, I go find this shirt in the closet, put it on because I believe it 100%. No one succeeds alone.
There's a KW shirt for really anything that we need, right? I see I wore my one team shirt today. Stacy wore her hat. Love it.
Stacey should have wore her, yes, the MRAA is
Oh, yeah.
relevant. Is what she should have
Yeah, I
worn today.
should've.
What it is, you know what? Sydney, they need to make them in tank tops so Stacey will wear them. That's what we need.
That's true.
So she can show the guns and wear it at the same time.
That's right. We'll put a plug in for that. We do have a question. Someone got here late, so we may have covered it. What's the going rate for an executive assistant, admin, and director of ops?
Nobody
I
on
feel
the
like
call can answer that because
That's a loaded question.
well, it all depends on where you are.
Yep.
There's a very different, and if you're on here, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. There's a very different going rate between, well, I'll use here, between Lake Norman and Fort Mill and Asheville versus Fayetteville versus Raleigh versus wherever. That's the question that you go when you ask the top agents in your office what the going rate is so that you can figure it out for where you are and what your cost of living is.
And your business size too, and your vision and where you're headed and what duties you'll be doing. There's a whole lot that goes into that.
Yeah, what responsibilities are off your plate? What can you stay in your 20%? What does it take to replace that in production? And will you get that from associating with that person? The rate is relative to how it affects your life. Because I was talking to somebody the other day and I was saying, are we in a place emotionally or even financially that if amazing talent came to my door, like a Jason Abrams or Mark King or somebody comes to my door and wants to get in business with me tomorrow, do I say, I'm sorry that the market says that you're only worth X? That's where you get into a conversation about like, what am I looking for here? Because if you want to know what the average rate is, you will be average if you hire based off of that.
And if you have true talent in your life, then you have to start looking at replacement value.
That's right.
What would it cost you to replace that? They deserve at least that.
Yeah, Craig wrote, I think this is great. Whatever it takes to get great talent in your area is the going rate. Yeah. What else? Other questions from anyone?
Yes, somebody type in as long as you stay in budget. Hopefully though, you know, if you've watched it and your business is growing, you're always creating that extra amount to go in there.
Let me ask you, because a lot of you have mentioned that you know, you're meeting people that might be talent, and there is a chance that maybe we don't have room on our bench immediately for them. Do you do anything to stay in contact with them, or are you just at a point that you're like, I can't, like, this person, I'm going to figure out something for them? What does that look like?
I go back to that, like Gary Keller wants to be in business with you tomorrow. What do you say? So you don't go get a personal loan and you have a conversation. What does it look like to go in business with you? And how can we afford to hire you as a partner, not a boss? Right? But how does my business change by associating with you? And in that, how do we pay for you? And if you've got talent, they will sit down with you and say, well, I think I can do this. I can do this. This will generate X. And you're like, let's do it. Let's go to work. And remember this, I get caught up on this a lot. If you say I'm going to pay somebody $120,000 a year, what I hear is $120,000, but on a 2-week increment, that's $5,000. It's not 120. So every 2 weeks you get to decide, do I choose the next 30 days to be in business with this person? You're not committing to 120. So get in business with the right people and it will develop and pay for itself.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to know what your org chart looks like and build it out for the next 5 years so that if people do come in your life, you can look and say, okay, what can I maneuver? How can this fit? So I think that's the first step. You got to know where you're going before you let people into your world.
Yep.
You know, most of the people on this call, there's probably more high D's on this call than anything else. And right after that, there's the rest of you are all high I's, and that's pretty much going to be who's on here. And what the D's and I's are going to have trouble doing is building a bench. The D's are going to have trouble building a bench because they don't take the time to do it. The I's are going to have trouble building a bench because they're like, well, why would anybody get a business with me? Everybody loves me. And they just think their life's going to stay the same all the time. I mean, have you met me? You have to love me, right? They'll never leave. So that's why D's, and as a leader, that is my worst attribute, is building a bench. I'm never properly prepared. I've tried to get better. I think I'm getting better as I go, but it's tough. But you need to think like that. I mean, things happen, and who's going to step into that role? And if you say, I don't know, that means you're going to step into that role if that person leaves. So congratulations, you get to put crazy people in your car and drive them around again, because you just earned that job back.
Congrats. You're a transaction coordinator. Have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Kent, I feel like you're going to give us a page number, but we have a question in chat. If you're at a point with needing leverage with buyers, would you first go for a showing assistant or go ahead with a buyer's agent? What are your thoughts on that decision?
And that's actually not in the book, because when the book was written, showing assistant really hadn't been invented yet. If I was building my team now, if I'm back at the beginning, I would do a couple things. One thing is I would start with a showing assistant. That's just a good model to start with. Now, it's funny, once you start having buyer's agents, you probably don't need showing assistants anymore till you grow it really big, and then you need showing assistants again. There's a time in there. In the beginning, why not start with a showing assistant and have them audition to be a buyer's agent? The other thing I would do, this when I built my team, this was not an opportunity. I would still hire an admin first, but I would probably use a transaction coordinator outsourced in the beginning till I got big enough to hire my own second person to do that. Those are just great options, because when you look at the model, so it says, level 3 is you and 2 assistants. That's you and 2 full-time assistants, but that doesn't mean you have to go from 1 assistant to 2 one day. You can grow into it. So that there's a lot of things that we didn't have when we were building our teams, you have now, that you can grow slower. At some point, someone's gonna say, Kent, what's your biggest mistake? I'm going to give you my 2 biggest mistakes in building my team. Number 1, being out of model. Just that kind of covers all, but that's number 1 is being out of model. But number 2 is growing too fast. And a lot of mistakes I made, I tried to go too fast. Now, I always say this, there's the bold law, you can have reasons or results. I had reasons for going fast because I wanted to be an OP and I wanted to travel around the world and teach other people how to do all this stuff, but that's just my excuses. Don't go too fast. Earn the right to make the next hire before you make it.
Yes.
I love him.
The mic drop moment. Stacey, were you going to add something? I thought I saw.
No,
you.
I agree with everything. I was going to say the same thing about the TC, because that per file TC side, when it starts adding up to an amount where you bring on somebody full-time, that's when it makes sense. And then as far, we grow organically as well, which just sounds like everybody else does too. When you've got a surplus of leads and your agents are out in the field and nobody can take them, you got to pull from that bench. That's when you pull your next agent on. You don't just add bodies.
Yeah, Gary Keller says this. He says, if you're bumping your head on the ceiling or banging your head on the wall, you're missing a key relationship. And that's when you know it's time.
Yep.
All right. Looks like you guys have answered all the questions in chat. I do want to make a plug. This was not the plan, but I can't believe, and I just love when a plan comes together. Starting in literally 10 minutes on KW Connect is the entire leverage series with Bo and Kimber Menketti. It's half a day today and tomorrow. It will be recorded. So for those of you that are watching and you've heard from all of these amazing panelists talking about career visioning and 30, 60, 90 and all of these things, they will actually be presenting that on KW Connect. So if you can have that, kind of listening and running in the background, and then it will be recorded that you can come back, watch that at a later date. It's time as well.
And Sydney, I think October 24, 25, 26, you're going to host Career Visioning in Charlotte again this year.
We are.
Yeah, so it's coming live as well. So some great opportunities. I've taken, so it was called something else before, but the predecessor Career Visioning, I've taken at least once every single year since 2009. Yes, that is how dumb I am. Still trying to learn it.
And I think I speak for all of us. If anybody has any questions after this, please reach out to any one of us. We're happy to help if you are shy to leave a question in the little chat box today.
Sure.
Oh, and I saw that question. So the classes they're referencing, I teach business planning clinic, but the one that really is I teach, it's called Leverage Building Your Top Team Talent. It's just walking you through steps, levels 1 through 7.
Yep. And yeah, we'll have that in person in Charlotte in October. So we'll
business planning clinic. Yes, we will. December 7th in Charlotte. I'm doing the regional business planning clinic. I hope you guys will be there.
Awesome. Listen, thank you guys. I know this is time out of your day. I appreciate you all so much. I got to tell you, anybody on the call, I reached out to these 3 people and said, would you do it? And it was an astounding yes, we'd love to. Happy to help. They've given up their time preparing and presenting. So honestly, thank you guys so much. You're all amazing, true leaders, and we appreciate you so much. So thank you.
No, I actually said no, and then I saw that Stacey and Jeff said yes, and I went, oh, no, they're not without me.
That's
That's right.
hilarious. It looks like we all have the same paint color in our offices, which is weird. So
In the book.
success paint color. Yeah, it's page 93 of the MRA.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. We'll convert this recording. It'll be on the YouTube. Appreciate all of you and have an amazing day, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.